Hey guys, good morning. It's a nice cold morning out here and we got a little bit more snow. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to chat with you briefly about how these Yokohama Geolandar X-AT tires have been doing. I have to admit that when I decided to get some of these and review them, I was a little bit concerned because honestly, if you search the internet, you'll find some negative reviews on these. Mostly in terms of their foul weather performance. So rain, snow, when the weather turns bad, a lot of people said that these tires tend to not do very well. So a little concerning to me, but here in Kentucky, we get everything. We get lots of heavy rain in the spring and in the fall, and sometimes during the winter, we get snow and ice. We have hot summer weather, which we'll get to later this year. I'll be towing a heavy trailer on hot summer days. So I'll be able to put these tires through their paces. But, here in the last few weeks, we've had some pretty foul weather. And I just thought I would share with you what my experience has been with these Yokohama X-AT tires. So this set that I have is a 33 1250. I'm running them on an 8-inch wheel. 18, 8-inch lawnmower wheels. No, these are 18-inch wheels. And so with an 18x9 wheel, I figured I would get a little bit more sidewall, more tire and less wheel, and they would ride better than the 20s that I used to have. And so that's kind of why, I went with the 18s, and they do ride a little bit better. So I kind of prefer them in these 18-inch varieties, to be honest. Now you can see here that the tread, you've got these really wide open lugs here, and there's a straight channel for stuff to kind of get swung out of the tire. The tire can clean itself really well. And you've also got these little grooves. There's some siping in here. Try to get in a little closer so you can see the siping on the center tread blocks. So these tires have a whole lot of biting edges, and that's what you want. When you're looking for a tire that's going to do well in the winter time, you want something that's got a lot of biting edges, a lot of siping, a lot of grooves. That's kind of the ideal tire, and these do have that. They've also got a really deep tread. When you first purchase these, the tread is really deep, a lot deeper than some other competing tires like the BF Goodrich, for example. So that's good as well. You've got some really nice sidewall tread here. If you do get down in a rut off-road, these can help you out, and they also give you some protection. I'm going to show you some clips here in just a few moments. Yesterday we had a stick that got stuck right here, and it actually stayed in the tire for a long time. But this kind of tread out here can actually give you some puncture resistance for things like that as well. So overall, the tire has been doing a great job, out on the roads and off-road as well. In the snow, in the rain, it's been doing a great job. I haven't experienced any slipping, sliding, spinning. These do just as well as pretty much any of the other tires in this class that I've reviewed so far. I still think that the Falcon Wild Peak AT3W is probably a slightly better overall tire because it has a little bit less road noise and a little bit more siping. So for a foul weather tire, that one is probably still slightly better, but this tire has been doing a great job. I really have no complaints with it. Like I said, it's one of those things where there's always a trade-off. These don't do as well in the mud as a mud tire, but they do a lot better in other conditions than a mud tire would do. There's always trade-offs, but I really like these though. I feel like that this is a tire that's a good all-around tire. Being an X-AT, it's sort of in that hybrid category between a mud terrain and an all-terrain tire. And that's what a lot of guys are going for these days. And I feel like this is probably one of the better ones that I've reviewed so far. It's a great all-around tire. Perhaps it's not excellent at any one thing, but it has been doing a really good job at everything I've thrown at it. Now the road noise started off almost non-existent. As these things are wearing in, they're getting a little bit more noisy, but I still don't think that I would call them anywhere near a mud tire. as far as road noise goes. They've got just a little bit of a hum to them out on the highway, but it's not loud at all. It's not obnoxious at all, and honestly, it doesn't bother me at all. I actually kind of prefer to have a little bit of noise in the tires, just a little bit, so that you can audibly hear them. I think it's kind of nice. But like I said, the road noise is slightly more. I expect it to be, you kind of expect it to be that way as the tires wear in, especially after you do your first cross rotation on them and change the pattern up. The way the pattern's hitting the road, that's when you really start to notice it. So later on, we'll see, after I rotate these, we'll see if they really pick up any noise at all. But so far, it's not too bad. Yeah, so honestly, I don't have any complaints with them at all. I mean, for me, compared to all the other tires I've reviewed so far, I think they're doing a great job. I haven't had any issues on rainy roads, snow, ice, even played around a little bit with them in the mud, just messing around to see, how they would pull, if they got into some sloppy off-road conditions. Just taking a little stroll down the river. Yeah, these hills are a little bit too soupy today. Too steep of an angle. This truck doesn't have the proper approach angle for something like that. That's where the Jeep shines. But if nothing else, it'll give us a chance to work the transfer case a little bit. Never hurts to put these things in low range once a month or so. Keep everything from freezing up. Trying to find a spot where I can try out these tires, see how they dig in the mud. I've never had these Yokohamas in the mud yet. Man, this stuff is soupy. It's got a lot of sand and clay in it, looks like. But look at these tires. Kind of losing traction. Of course, I'm just kind of loafing along here, not even getting into it. But did you see how those tires were biting in? I mean, they're kind of filled up with this junk, but they still have enough traction to bite in and pull the truck. That's where we run out though. I shouldn't have stopped. These little muddy hills are deceiving, especially when this stuff's been saturated by rain and snow over the last few days.
There's some down there.
What's going to end up happening is that we're going to dig the receiver hitch into the creek back here. I just wanted to kind of see how these things would pull. I'm gonna try one more thing here.
It wasn't so slippery. It make it easy.
Let's lock the rear axle up. Rear axle is locked. Now let's see if we can go up here. Almost. It's just so soupy. Getting into some pretty steep angles now, man. The parking sensors are beeping at us. The parking sensors were looking straight down at the ground, and they was setting them off. That's funny. I mean, if I give it more wheel speed, I mean, like if I backed up here pretty far, of course there's a giant tree right behind us, so I don't really see, that's about as far as I can comfortably go. I don't have enough room to get any momentum, but if I could give it some wheel speed, it would go up there. But I have to say though, just messing around like we are right now, you know, just kind of putting around at low speed, messing around on these little muddy hills. These Yokohamas are doing a great job. I mean, they're pulling just as hard as those mud tires that I had, the Milestars. You know, the Milestar MTs that I had on here. These things are pulling just as hard as those did, seems like, in this yucky river mud. See, that stuff right there is almost like quicksand. As soon as you pull your front axle onto it, you just sink down in there. It's kind of pointless to even try those. That just goes to show you how wide the voids are on these tires, because there's actually a stick caught in the tire. Look at that. It's like wedged in the tread. See that? That's kind of funny. Wonder how long it'll stay there. It's not in the sidewall, it's just wedged in between the tread blocks. That didn't sound good. What was that? We just hit something. Can you see what it was? Oh man, we're sliding around. It's like, it's like being on ice. This stuff is so nasty. I'm gonna try and back out of here without tearing something up. Close the door.
Well, I was making sure you didn't break.
Yeah, man, this river mud, man, it gets like ice.
Yeah, you hit that root right there.
That root? We must have bottomed out on it.
We did. That's what I was trying to tell you.
Was it the running board, or was it the... I guess it would have to be the running board. Huh. Or maybe the front suspension was just popping where I've got those spacers on there. Sometimes they tend to do that. But I was going along pretty good though. These tires are pulling pretty hard in this stuff. I mean, as nasty as it is, they're doing a good job. Just imagine if, you know, we rolled the windows up and gave it some wheel speed. If we didn't care to tear things up. There's no telling where these tires would take us. Let's go over this way. Big root sticking out right over there. That great big root's probably the one that made that popping noise. It's not gonna do it. We're just sliding around. Yeah, so if you give it wheel speed, they clean out okay, but if you don't give it wheel speed, it's just like pretty much any other tire. They pack up like a racing slick, and then you don't have anything. But like I said, despite all that, I'm kind of impressed. I just got to figure out how to get out of here now without backing into these trees. That's the hill right there that we normally go up in the Jeep, but again, you got to have the right approach and departure angles, otherwise you tear your stuff up. So the size of the ram's kind of limiting us, but it's just also too soupy down here. And since we don't have a winch and we don't have a buddy with us, I don't want to bury this thing in one of these little quicksand holes. You know what I mean? Because then we'll be walking home in the cold weather. So
I'll pass.
yeah, we'll head back out of here. But I just wanted to kind of come down here and mess around in the mud a little bit and try these tires out. I wanted to see how good they'll clean, how good they'll pull the truck. And honestly, I'm kind of impressed. I mean, you've seen I'm not giving it any wheel speed. I'm not really hammering on it. And obviously the idea there is you want to clean the tires out by giving it wheel speed, which I haven't been doing. So the fact that it's pulling pretty good, I'm getting halfway up these little hills. I can tell these things would be all right if you really drove them hard. Looks like that stick finally came out of the tire at least. We'll go around here and see what we hit. Yeah, I mean, I don't see anything. Running board looks okay to me. I bet that noise was just the suspension, because ever since I put those spacers in there, sometimes if the wheel cycles real fast, it'll make a popping noise. Yeah, and those are the cheapest, flimsiest rock, not even rock rails, or step rails that you can buy. They're not really off-road oriented stuff, so yeah, we're okay. But yeah, the Yokohama tire's doing all right. I mean, one little quick trip through the water there and they clean back out. If you drive them hard, they'll clean out good. They seem to be handling their own okay out here. Out in the woods, they're doing okay. So let's see here. Let's go back to two-wheel drive so we can try to do some donuts. Alright, I think we're there. So I really believe these are going to be just fine. I mean, you know, a lot of people have varying opinions, and maybe your usage might be a little different than mine, but you know, I'm in pretty much every kind of weather that you can think of throughout the year, and so far I really like those Yokohamas. I think they're doing a great job. No complaints. Time will tell. Gonna run them for the rest of the year and kind of see, you know, how they wear, how the noise changes as we get through some rotations on them, and how they do as far as towing stability with a big trailer. You know, just put them through their paces and do a little bit of everything with them. It'll be interesting to see. But so far in the wintertime, when you can't work and you're mainly just trying to get from point A to point B and the weather's terrible, you know, so far they've been doing an excellent job. So if you're looking at the Yokohama Geolandar X-AT, I don't think you can go wrong with them personally. I think it's a really good tire, and the prices are competitive on them, so you definitely want to give them a look.